What's up, guys? We're moving through the Marvel Legends X-Men wave, getting one step closer to looking at Juggernaut. We're going to take a look at Deadpool today. So here he is, and I've got to say right off the bat, I think this is a pretty well executed figure. There are a few little nitpicky things that I've got about him, but overall, I think he's a pretty good figure. So let's take a look at sculpt and paint, and articulation, and all that stuff. So we'll take a look at the sculpt first, and I mean, you can see that he's kind of loaded with a bunch of extra stuff. So we've got a base body, and then we've got these sculpted accessory kind of pouches all over him. They're unfortunately just in kind of a brown molded plastic, but I think they look good, and they lend themselves well to kind of decking him out in all of the stuff that's always over his body. So he always has a bunch of pouches and holsters and things like that, and so they've got that here, and then we've got the two sword sheaths on the back. So overall, I mean, I think sculpt is pretty good. The main thing to look at here, obviously, to me, is the head, because I believe this is a reused body. It's not anything special, but it fits the character well. It's a muscled body, and Deadpool is obviously one of the characters that should be quite ripped at the very least. So the head sculpt, I think, is really good. It doesn't seem to be too big or too small in this case. And then it's got the hood for the standard head, and you can see the little back of the hood, the extra fabric back there. The actual sculpt of the face part of the mask, I think, is really good. We got the open black eyes, and then one of the eyes is slightly smaller than the other because he's always doing that kind of smart ass smirk, and it usually comes through via the eyes because that's his most emotive facial feature generally. So I like the body. I like the sculpt. I like the look of the figure. He seems pretty substantial when you've got him in your hand. You've got these sculpted shin guards, the boot buckles, and just all the things that have been added onto him. This, like the belt with the grenades that are sculpted on, the shoulder straps here with the scabbards, and so on and so forth. So he looks good, and I think the figure is a solid representation of a Deadpool figure. As far as paint goes, the figure is molded red plastic with black paint on it for the most part. I've got a little bit of a bleed through here, and then the body has these silver markings on him. The belt has the Deadpool logo painted on it. The mask seems to be a slightly different shade of red than the body to me, though. It seems a little on the brighter side. This one, the body seems a little more muted in that regard. We've got the paint on the shin guards, paint on the buckles down here, and then we've got, you've got the black all over the body. It's overall, it's pretty clean. I think the line work is all right. I've got that one splotch over here, but it's not too problematic for me, and it certainly doesn't really bother me too much. Other than that, I think the paint job is pretty solid. I would have liked to have seen a wash on these just to make them stand out a bit more. I might end up doing that myself, just to make them pop a bit, because they're, in comparison to the figure, the added belts and the pouches, they're kind of bland. And then we've got the black plastic for the scabbards. As far as articulation goes, we've got head on a ball joint with a hinge, so he's got pretty wide range of motion. Arms can go all the way out. We've got full rotation, and everything seems to be pretty well ratcheted too. We've got bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. We have wrist swivel and a hinge. The little guards here on the wrist kind of get in the way a little bit. We have an ab crunch, and he can go about that far forward, and he can go back about that far, not very far. We do have a waist twist, so we can go all the way around. We have legs that go about that far. That's about it. There is a thigh swivel. Legs go forward and backward pretty far. We have double jointed knees. They go pretty far back, almost all the way touching the back of the thigh. And there is there is a boot twist, sorry. There is a boot twist, so we've got rotation there. And then we have a hinge and a rocker at the ankle. So pretty well loaded with articulation, which is to be expected for Deadpool. I think anything less would have, wouldn't have really cut the mustard on that one, because he's supposed to be very agile and always in very goofy poses or very athletic poses by contrast. So I think the overall figure looks the part. So let's take a look at the tons of accessories this guy comes with. Okay, now as far as accessories goes, he has a ton. The first one I'm going to talk about, and we're gonna do some swapping here, is this head. So this is the extra head that he comes with, the unmasked. So pop it off and just pop this one on the ball joint, and there's your head. It's got that wide grinning smile. He's got another instance of one of the eyes being a little smaller than the other, but then you can see the, you know, just disgusting skin he's got, because, you know, he has been riddled with health issues, so to speak, for years, and his healing factor cannot keep up with his problems. So that's what he looks like under the mask, and I think the sculpt is really well. All of those, you know, details on there are sculpted into the head, and they all have a little bit of a wash to them, so everything really stands out well. I almost like this head more than the masked head, but I don't really want to display him like this. I don't really care that much. He's always going to be masked for me, but I really like the attention to detail on this one, especially for a Legends figure. We've got, well, if we keep him standing, we've got two swords. These are one of the things that I have a problem with, and it's not necessarily the swords. Well, maybe it's a combination of both, but it's the scabbards and the swords. They're not nearly as curved as they should be. The swords are far more curved than the scabbards, so you've really got to push these in there to get them in. So either the sword should have been straighter, or the scabbard should have been more curved. So I'm worried that they're going to get warped over time in one way or another. He comes with this bazooka with a punching glove on it. You can take that off. I don't particularly care for this thing. I think it's kind of goofy. Deadpool, to me, I liked Deadpool. This is going to sound very hipsterish, but I liked him before he was cool. I really liked Deadpool back in the X-Force days, the Rob Liefeld days when he was first created, back before he was like a taco chimichanga fart joke type character. I don't really care for, I haven't cared for Deadpool in a really long time. So this kind of punching glove thing seems kind of stupid to me. This bazooka, on the other hand, is kind of cool. It just has no detail to it in terms of paint. It's just a piece of like army man green plastic. So he's got two pistols. They are, as far as I can tell, the same, and he has two holsters for him. So he's got one here on his belt, and then he's got another one here on his thigh. So those can put in there. They can be put in there. He has a combat knife that can go on the boot down here. Let me go ahead and put the swords in too. He has this kind of assault rifle. Again, it's not painted really in any way. It's like a metallic sheen to it. We've got a Tommy gun type weapon. I believe this is the same kind of gun that was with the Punisher Walgreens exclusive, as is this bazooka, I think. Same thing. And then he's got the world famous taco accessory, which he can hold pretty well. It's a tight fit, but he can hold it. And it's got, you know, it's got the beef in there, it's got the taco shell, it's got the lettuce. So I mean, it's a funny accessory. I again don't really care for Deadpool in that regard, but I think it's a cool thing. I'm glad they added it for the fans that love Deadpool for all of those reasons. I think they would have been unhappy without like this or a chimichanga or something like that. So he comes with a ton of stuff, and I think that's, you know, it's a good bonus to get something like this. And then of course you've got, you know, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weapons, an extra head, and the taco. So he is pretty loaded as far as accessories go. Okay, so overall, I think this is a pretty well executed figure. Like I said, I don't really care for the modern incarnation of Deadpool. I mean, you know, I may get chastised for this, but I don't think he's a funny character. I love the Deadpool movie, and I thought it was funny at times, but that kind of humor doesn't really do it for me anymore. I don't need to think that Deadpool is always wanting a taco or a chimichanga every 5 minutes. He just seems like an idiot now, and I really liked his original characterization way back when. So that's a different story though. As far as the figure goes, I think it's a pretty solid figure. Pretty loaded with articulation. Paint apps are pretty solid on this figure, and then, you know, the sculpt in certain places is really nice, and that extra head sculpt that you see here is pretty well done. And then I also really like the regular head sculpt. So if you've got two good options to display him, and then you can have him with the swords out or with a gun, and he can be put in a lot of decent positions. So, or you can just go the goofy route and have the taco in his hand. So I think you got a lot of options with this guy that a lot of folks would crave for this kind of character because he does so many different things and he is so versatile in the comic book. So I think as far as this figure goes, they did a really good job of him, and he's definitely among the better figures in this wave. And I'm glad to add him to my collection, despite not really caring for Deadpool that much anymore. So that is going to do it for this review, everyone. As always, stay tuned to Toy Bro. We have got 2 more figures in this wave to go. We've got Jean and we've got Cable, and then we're going to hit Juggernaut. So stay tuned. We're going to wrap this up here soon. And as always, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know how stupid I am for not liking Deadpool anymore in the comments, please. Let me know if you agree with me, if he was cooler back in the day. And until next time.